There's been a recent government announcement, which you're probably aware of, the warm homes. I think about 5.5 million homes could be able to take advantage of this grant of solar PV, battery storage, air source heat pump, EV charging. I think these things are really good that we've got these grants in place and we listen to, what the investment behind it is and what to expect by 2031. But at the same time, we need it to come sooner.
Okay, hello guys. My name is Melissa. Welcome to the OpenSolar Podcast, and I'm so excited to have Aaron Darvill with us from Anker Solix today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks for having me. It's been long overdue. I think we discussed it for months, but it's trying to get it in the schedule.
Exactly.
It's great to be here today.
Thank you so much. I'm sure for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, you've probably seen Aaron showing Anker's amazing products online somewhere. We absolutely love your videos. And, I think thinking about solar and in the UK, when, back in the day, people would be like, oh, the UK is too grey for solar and things like that. And it's so cool to look back and look at where we are now and see, I don't think the UK is too grey for solar. So I'm really excited for us to talk about exciting things that are coming up in the UK solar industry this year. But I also wanted to know, who are you and what did you do before you got into the solar industry?
That's a really interesting question. So I have been in the solar industry around 12 years now, 13 years. Before that, I studied business like most people do. I actually ran various different retail platforms. So I suppose when you look back 12 to 15 years ago, people still bought in stores more than they bought online. And at one stage, I was running anything from luxury brands with Dolce Gabbana, All Bar Brown, and then I led the expansion for Crocs, that footwear that everyone talks about, whether you love it.
No, do you still get discount?
I don't get any discount anymore. But yeah, at one stage, I led up about 500 store locations worldwide. So with a huge team in place. And then I took a moment and a breather in my career and I thought I could see how everything was going e-commerce. And for me, it was like, what industry would I be interested in that I think is going to be a benefit by still talking to people? Because people buy from people at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And that's what led me to my solar journey. Then I worked in America, successfully bringing in a brand to a marketplace into Europe and the United Kingdom. And then I was headhunted by Anker Solix just about 2 years ago. And so now I'm as strategic sales director.
Yeah, that's actually incredible. I like hearing about journeys like that, Dolce & Gabbana to solar is kind of a vibe. I like that.
I think for me, it's still the same aspect that we're looking at. It's a quality of a product. It's making sure that you have the history of a brand and the marketing concept that goes with it. Some of these brands have stood the test of time. Some of them have gone down and come back around again. So I think that's the thing with Anker Solix. And also what you see in the solar industry is it's constantly a roller coaster. No day is the same.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite thing about the solar industry. What would you say that outsiders get wrong about the solar industry?
Well, I think like what you said from the outset, I think they think, oh, it's a grey day. And you normally find this in the UK and Ireland, and so they're not going to be storing up energy. And that's far from truth. I think that's one of the common misconceptions. I think also a lot of people feel that certain utilities providers are the only ones that carry these tariff rates. And actually, there's hundreds. There are hundreds of different utility platforms across the world that all carry different utility rates for night tariffs and so forth. I think as an industry, what we've noticed is it really boomed back in 2023. I think we've started to get a bit more comfortable. And I think when I mean by that, I think it just got too crazy in 2023. Everyone was throwing out product. Nothing was seeming to stick. And then you'll find there's an influx in solar installers all of a sudden. And I think now it's sort of got steady. People are sort of relying into brands, buying into a brand now and sticking with, a portfolio of what I call a good, better and best. Because the thing is, there is a market placement for all batteries and PV panels and inverters and EV chargers at all different price points. but we need to make sure that, one, we educate the client of what the benefits are going to be, the long-term gains in return on investment, and also making sure that you partner with quality installers that are going to be here just as long as we have as a manufacturer.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important point. And also installers who care about the work they're doing, care about the quality of the work they're doing. I think something that stood out to me is definitely the need now for even more installers on the ground, really, because it's like we've got to this point where the industry is a lot more stable. It's growing so rapidly. And, what would you kind of say to someone that's sitting maybe in a boring office job right now? And, why would you kind of encourage them, or maybe even an electrician who's never tried to do a solar project? What would you say to them?
Well, this is actually really interesting because we, as a company, constantly create surveys. Surveys our customer service, our technical engineers, our installers that are our ambassadors. They're a representation on us. And you actually will find that 72% of electricians that install our product as ambassadors actually had a history of being an electrical engineer, doing anything from the emergency call out to fixing that electric shower. And actually, for me, I think that's really important because they carry a wealth of knowledge, not just in solar it's popped up, but just a background knowledge. And they've got a customer service and client base already, which I think is really important because, as we know, marketing is so key. And a lot of electrical installers may not be able to afford the marketing behind a new product line or a new division of their brand, such as solar, PV solar and battery storage, but they also have a client list. And that client list is actively seeking how are they going to save money in the future. So it actually works well.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like a no-brainer because, solar is the future. I know you and I would say that, but it's almost a no-brainer to look into it and see what can you do, because I do feel the industry is definitely in need for more people to kind of get into it. And I guess, how does Anker Solix make the learning curve shorter for new installers with their click and play product?
I think the education is a really big thing. Like, I think actually it was lost in the industry. And I think now, as an industry, we are starting to take our time, make sure we train a quality of installer, make sure that we give them all the tools in place so they are reassured. So for us, we do everything from online academy training, which is easy because, if someone wants to steal half an hour of the evening, because let's face it, a lot of installers, 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock at night, they're out and about on site. So how do we make their life easier? So it's a course that doesn't have to be completed there and then. You can go back to it where you need to. It creates all the different examples and scenarios, from just an EV charger, parallel systems, air source heat pumps, and really nice, simple step-by-step guides. As much as we are also, as an industry, really going down the AI route, I sort of wanted to eliminate AI step-by-step videos, because for me, I'm going to learn so much more as an installer listening to another installer installing Anker Solix. So we have really cool step-by-step videos with Anker ambassadors that install our product day in, day out, to the point that they even tell you in one of the videos when to take your tea break and your lunch break. I know it sounds
That's iconic.
it's those sort of things that the installer that is interested in our product can resonate with. Like, okay, we've done our system, we've built it now, it's all been wired. Let's have a tea break before we've got our commissioning time. I think also what I noticed with the industry is, rather than have a telephone number, an 0800 number, or rather than have an email that churns out a 72-hour ticket response time, I wanted that eliminated. So for us, we employ technical support managers. Ian, as an example, he was my first original hire, and they're MCS qualified. They've been solar installers themselves. They actually know how to talk to installers when they're having problems at site. And I suppose the final thing, which I think I call the cherry on the cake, is that we offer all new installers the opportunity to attend to the first on-site install. Now, we're not going to do the job for you, but when you have those questions,
That's impressive. I didn't know that. That's really
if
impressive.
you train, and it goes back to the education, if you train your installer and guide them in the process of their first on-site install, you're eliminating customer service issues. And there is zero money in customer service to be made. In fact, if anything, it's a loss to companies. So it's really important, if you do the groundwork from the beginning, then you're going to have a minimized return on those technical issues.
Yeah. And I guess also that will inevitably build relationships with people. If you're going out and it's the first time they're getting an Anker Solar product, I think that is really, really wonderful.
And what we always try to do as well is we try to assign them the technical support manager that is going to be their account manager. And so that is, like you said, people rely by people, people buy people. We're at the face, we're at the ground of our product. And I think we need to really believe in our installers as well. I would say that we have attended last year, out of all of our installs, about 93%. Now, it's open to everyone. Not every installer wants us to be SI. I think for us, it's at least putting that offering out there, and making sure that they are valued as an ambassador to Anker Solix.
That sounds brilliant. And I am a fan of AI, and I sometimes use AI in my work. But I would say that human first, we can never connect with an AI like we connect with real human interaction. As much as an AI solar engineer might be able to answer some of your questions, I don't think it will ever match to, having that connection with another human being.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the thing. I think we're all very quick to look at a data sheet and, look at a video on YouTube. And sometimes it's one of those things that, just picking up the phone and asking those questions that you might not see on that data sheet, or, needing support in terms of planning a project. I mean, this is where you guys come in. Like, you stole the show. OpenSolar stole the show, making sure that you are accessible in the right form of training and education with your weekly platforms, with, an easy to perform platform layout for design on residential and commercial. We need tools like that. But tools also on the ground. So I think personally we're winning.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely a good match. And I think even with things like the Open Solar Expo, where we're kind of allowing people, giving them the opportunity to look, here's what our partners are doing. Here are all their new products. Here's how you can use it. People are able to design on Open Solar. They're able to sell. And now they're even able to shop different products with Open Solar Shop. So I think it is what installers really need to be able to do everything within their work. And I think it's wonderful that you guys have this face-to-face first install. I'm kind of jealous. I'm thinking I need to go and do an install so that I can I can get one too.
I mean, it wasn't obviously too long ago that we collaborated with some other manufacturers on a project, and we did have some of your team down there, Susanna, actually, from OpenSolar.
That takes me on really nicely onto, we often think about energy inequality and what solar does for communities around the world. But actually, in the UK, I would say, especially in the last 5 years, our energy costs have absolutely skyrocketed, including my own. And I wanted to really talk about the project that we worked on last year. And I want to thank you for getting us involved. But yeah, I'm going to let you explain it.
So I think for us, it goes back to the partnerships that we create with installers and also manufacturing, that facility of the industry. So I suppose with the years of experience that I've got knowing people in the industry, I've got friends like JA Solar, Alexa and Alistair and Darren at Renyasol, and I've reached out to OpenSolar, and obviously Seagen are one of our partners. And I struggled with a task that I went into one of my Anker ambassadors, the Solar House. They're amazing. They've got a great setup to the point that they do a showroom, 2 showroom locations, and more brand expansion and branch expansion for the UK. But they turned around and said to me, look, we're struggling. We've got this project here, and they've literally got no money. They are spending a fortune in electricity per month. The club is running bare bones because they want it to be very community-led and make sure that it's accessible for all.
Canton Rugby Club, isn't it, in Wales?
Yeah, so Canton RFC in Cardiff. So it was originally a rugby club, and then rugby turned into football, and then it turned into an after-school club. A creche during the day, learning disabilities for adults, a hub in the evening where they would do events and try and do some fundraising, but it was costing a fortune. And I just said to the Solar House, there's got to be something that we can do. And then I'm quite persuasive, as you may
You are, you
So
are.
I thought, well, I mean, if anything, I mean, I know the Solar House by JA Solar, and I know they buy other brands and stuff, but I thought they don't have the contacts like I do who know who I can speak to. So I got out my black book and I spoke to Alexa, and I spoke at JA, and I spoke to Darren at Renisar. I said, look, are you in? And they're like, 100%. In fact, why is it that we're not doing this in the industry? And I was like, this is exactly correct, because I think there's this stigma between manufacturers that manufacturers don't really talk to one another. Maybe they might see it as a threat, or a competition. But when you look at a solar PV panel, a mounting equipment company, and an inverter and battery storage, they actually complement an ecosystem. Like, you sort of need all three to work. So
It's like it's like a little ecosystem, as you said.
exactly,
Yeah,
it's like the
definitely.
full start to finish. So when I called them on this, I was like, "We're doing this," and I said, "Are you in?" And it didn't actually need a lot of persuasion from me, because they were like, "Sure, no problem."
As soon as I heard about it, I was so excited. And for the cause as well, it's an absolute
I just
no-brainer.
thought to myself, you see a lot of these projects sometimes from other companies who would sponsor like really well invested companies like football clubs and rugby clubs already, but not really necessarily community led. And I always keep my eye open for projects all the time, and there will be a few more coming up this year. Um, so watch that space. But I just feel like it's one of those things. What could we give back? And it had to be done. It wasn't really a question of can we do it. It's like, when are we doing it? So obviously we had Open Solar because the Solar House use you as a day-to-day platform for all their quotes. So it was a no-brainer once again. And then for them to be able to get everything gifted from all the individual manufacturers and then supported financially also by Seagen, I think it just really went seamlessly, to be honest. The results, they are saving roughly around 62% of their monthly electricity costs already. This was in the thousands per month. And then we're going to probably follow it up with another video and upgrade in terms of what happens and what we see over the course of the whole year it's been installed, because we love to revisit. So yeah, there's really cool things like that going on.
Yeah. Oh, that really excites me. And I'm looking forward to learning like what's going on there as well. And I can't wait to hear more about the upcoming projects. That's really exciting. And I hope the installers are using Open Solar. And if they're not, they should be.
Exactly. No, it was a really good thing. And I think I was one piece of the puzzle. I had the Solar House as the other piece. It's just I needed all of those other pieces to come together. And that is where it just comes back to. It's not about supporting just the community, like the local community that are struggling, but also supporting each other in our community. Like, our solar community is just a must. We should be all helping each other.
Yeah, and I think that's probably my favorite thing, is that it should be like that. And I think Open Solar is a really good platform for that, where we have so many different partners, distributors, manufacturers kind of in one hub. I think it does make it easier for people to get to know each other. And it's like you've got your little black book, and then we've got Open Solar for people who might not be able to just message people. With Expo, people can also contact people directly, which is exciting. But yeah, that was a really exciting thing for us last year. And I think 2026 is looking like the energy prices in the UK will continue to be volatile. How do you think it's going to go this year in terms of energy tariffs?
I mean, I see all the time there's tariffs that come and go. And I think, there's a lot of integration on VPPs at the moment. I personally believe that, there's been a recent government announcement, which you're probably aware of, the warm homes. Now, I think, to my understanding, obviously, there's certain criteria that need to be met. And, I think how we calculated it as a business overall, I think that consists of over a certain amount of income. About 5.5 million homes could be able to take advantage of this grant of solar PV, battery storage, air source heat pump, EV charging. I think these things are really good, that we've got these grants in place and we listen to, what the investment behind it is and what to expect by 2031. But at the same time, it almost, we need it to come sooner. It's always never enough for me. Like, I think like 2027, I think, is the official launch date for it.
Yeah, but it's also like 2027. It's a whole year. We need more detail. I think. What do you think needs to be done for it to be successful and useful for installers, especially those from smaller enterprises as
Well, this is
well?
the thing, because I was going to say, although it's not officially being released till 2027, it's a catch-22 in some ways, because if I was an end user considering potentially of having solar right now, and then this grant's lifted and it's going to be 2027, potentially that could affect sales and installs this year, because people might want to hold out. You know, if they might be eligible for the grant, they might as well wait one more year. And I think that does then have a knock-on effect on how installers are quoting at the moment, because they might not necessarily win the job because people might just want to get quotes. What I do think it allows is, in the meantime, you are 100% right. There is not enough installers, or shall I also say, not enough quality installers. And I think for me, this gives us at least a year in this industry to start making sure we can bring on new installation companies, making sure that manufacturers have a due diligence to train them correctly and make sure that we can give them all the tools in place. That is one thing that it allows us time for. It allows us a year to get that organised. And I do see more installers coming on, and I see them being from the electrical background that have been for 10, 15 years. And they're starting to see that, you know, this should be part of an extension of my portfolio of what I can offer my clients. You know, I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I actually like how positive you've been towards it as well, because yes, it's time, it might slow things down, but again, it almost gives us a bit of time to prepare, which I think will be really good. And I just hope that everyone gets a really good opportunity in 2027 to kind of be brought into this big grant and get involved, because more solar is always a good thing for people, and if and for the planet. So that does make me
Yeah.
happy.
I mean, the thing is, we are very fortunate in terms of this country with the amount of tariffs that we have, with multiple utilities companies, because what you'll see at the moment is Ireland is a huge booming market. Huge booming market. Really is. And I mean,
Tell us a little bit more about the island market. Is it quite different?
Ireland is predominantly known as like 5 kilowatt inverters. That's really their go-to market. It used to be like a 5 kilowatt hour battery paired with that inverter size. But now what you're noticing is, you know, the demands and needs for far more storage. So 10, 15, 20 kilowatt hour systems. And what you've noticed as well is it was really, up to about 2 years ago, probably restricted on what products they had on the market. And then it's full 360 and loads of people will come on board. What you find as well is they have a grant already in place, which is SEAI, which allows any person wanting to go and have solar installed in their at their house or their property. It allows them a €2,000 grant, which is based, I think it's roughly about 2,000, and it stayed at the same price, because normally every year they lower the grant price, but they've kept it the same as last year, which is really, really reassuring. The amount of installs that are growing within that industry of Ireland is ridiculous. And listen, they get worse weather than we do.
Yeah, I think they are a little bit more grey than we are.
Yeah, I think I normally try and tend to fly out there at least once a week, because I've got some great partners. I've got Western Solar Ireland, who were my original distributor from day one, Shane Ryan. And that's a family-run business. That's another thing that we look for in our partners. And then, of course, we've got Siegen Ireland as well, and that's Barry Parker, who's full of life. But it's those sort of things where you then realise, you start listening to the installers, you see the demands of your product, you see the interest on the product. It is really growing as an industry over there. And, you know, you also see that with Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is a very growing market as well. They're predominantly 3.68 inverters as their go-to market sell. But I mean, like I said, low voltage startup is always a big thing. Like, we looked at low voltage startup, which is in our system as 75 volts. And that allows those cloudier days for the inverter to kick in quite easily. And obviously we get cloudier days in the UK and Ireland, so it works perfectly.
Yeah. It's just having the tech to kind of help us through those cloudy days.
And it's like I was saying about the tariff rates. You know, Ireland actually don't have tariff rates at this moment. And that's something that they are as a country looking into, and there's going to start being a pilot on that. They only currently have an EV charging tariff, but they don't have a battery storage tariff with their utilities providers. I just think if it's booming already and people are needing the demands for more storage because there's a lot more power cuts over there with broken grid system, once that tariff kicks in, and they get that all finalised with the government, I can just see it soar even more. It will skyrocket.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I've absolutely loved today's episode. I've got one more question for you, which is the best piece of tech you own that isn't made by Anker. We know Anker has so many amazing products, but what's your other favorite piece of tech that isn't owned made by Anker?
Most of my products, and I'm not just making this up, are Anker. I mean, would it class as an appliance? Is a tech appliance? I mean, is it? I want to say, and this is going to be so bad now.
Are you going to say an air fryer?
Yes, I am. I'm going to say the air fryer because it is a game changer. I mean, look, I'm not really here that much. I had a new kitchen built like 6 months ago, and I think I've only used the oven once.
I feel like I'm the same. I feel a little bit guilty and feel a bit sad for my oven because it just never gets turned on anymore.
The thing is, my partner was like, we need to get 2 Neff slide and hides because he'd seen them on the Bake Off. I mean, that's another story.
They are gorgeous, though. They are gorgeous.
It's been used once. I mean, first of all, I travel every single week. And then secondly, I've got a child as well. And when you're trying to rustle up food, when there was no kitchen, like the air fryer was a game changer. So, I mean, I have to say it's the Ninja air fryer. Get the large one.
Okay, I do have the Ninja air fryer too, and I've got the double drawer one. And it's funny because my partner gets me all these amazing, wonderful things, and my favorite present is the air fryer. So I knew you were going to say an air fryer.
No, I can't believe it, but it is the air fryer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the OpenSolar podcast today. It's been really, really cool to have you. And yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, Mel. Take care.